Ayubowan, Venerable Mahasangha, distinguished religious, spiritual leaders, ladies, gentlemen, and children. Welcome you all to our online International Buddhist Summit 2020 via Zoom and Buddhist Embassy YouTube channel. Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni face many challenges, problems, issues, temptations, and responsibilities in modern society. My name is Visitor Leela Ratna. On behalf of the members of the Buddhist Embassy, I extend a warm welcome to you. We appreciate you are taking time out from your busy schedules to join us today. I would like to invite today's host, Ms. Usija, to join with us. Usija is a university student studying mathematics. She has been a volunteer with the Buddhist Embassy since 2019. She is an assistant Dhamma teacher at Toronto Mahavihara Temple in Canada. She is very passionate about Buddhist education and has taken part in various Buddhist events in Canada as well as Sri Lanka for the past 17 years. Soon after, she would introduce our program. We will be starting with the Metra Sutra chanting by lead by Bhikkhuni Bodhi from Analaya Aramaya in Thailand. She has been very supportive of this program, and so we will be beginning today's program. Thank you. Now we welcome Usija.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ushija. I'm very excited to be here and to be your host today. So like Visita said, on behalf of everyone at the Buddhist Embassy, I would like to give you all a very warm welcome to today's event. We have people joining us virtually from various countries across the world. So welcome to everybody. So thank you again to all who are joining us. And I also want to give a very special thank you to the Buddhist Embassy of Ottawa, and especially Visitor Leela Ratna, who has planned and implemented this event. So to begin, we will begin with the Karaniya Metta Sutra. And now I would kindly like to invite Sister Bhikkhuni Bodhi, the Analaya Bhikkhuni Aramaya in Thailand.
So all of us, thank you for the invitation, and all of us here who are who would like to join in the chanting, please do. So the whole group here in Analaya would be doing the chanting now of Karaniya Metta Sutta. This is Sutta on goodwill or loving kindness. So we put our palms together while we start now and do the chanting. Karaniyam mata kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecha sakto ujo jasuju jasubacho jasumuvanati mahani santo sakto jasubaro apaki cho jasalabuka buddhi santindriyo janipako apagapo puresu ananukito acha kudang samacare kinci yena vinyu pare upavadeyo sukino vakemino hontu sape satta pavan sukitata yeke cipana bhutati nasavata varava anavasesa digavaye mahantava machimara saka anukatula ditavaye cha aditaye cha dure vasanti abidure Bhutava sambhave siva sappe satta bhavantu sukhitata Na paro parang nikupeta nati manye takata jinang kinci. Biaro sana patigasanya na nyamanya satu kami ceya. Mata yatani yang putang ayusa eka puta manurake evam bisa pabute sumanas. Ado catirianca asambarang averang asapatang itan carang nisino wasayano vayavata sabikatamito etang sating aditeya brahmang etang biharang idamahu Ditinca anupagama siravada sanena sampano kame suvineya gedang nahi jatu gapaseyang gunareti.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Sister Bhikkhuni Bodhi. We really appreciate it. Thank you. So welcome again, everyone. Before we move forward with today's events, I would like to give you a very brief introduction on what the Buddhist Embassy does. So the mission of the Buddhist Embassy is to advocate for peace, loving kindness, compassion, and goodwill throughout the world using the Buddha's unique philosophy. This is a new kind of Buddhist organization, and it is registered in Canada as the first Buddhist embassy. The goal is to utilize and connect a vast, ever-increasing network of Buddhist organizations throughout the world and create partnerships that can be used to improve the lives of people across the world and create opportunities for mental, spiritual, and societal well-being globally. One of the prime objectives is education and communication, the importance of harmony and loving kindness, as well as the discussion and advocacy for various issues continuously facing the Buddhist community. And that brings me to today's topic. The theme of today's short event is a vision for an inclusive society. We will specifically be focusing on the higher ordination of Bhikkhuni, or in other words, the higher ordination of Buddhist nuns into Bhikkhuni. Now, Bhikkhuni ordination to China has clearly been recorded in Chinese Buddhist texts. Records state that it was introduced from Sri Lanka when a group of Sri Lankan nuns in the early 5th century, around 429 AD, traveled to China to introduce Bhikkhuni ordination, and this tradition of dual ordination has continued to this day without interruption. The text titled Biographies of Bhikkhunis, written in China in about 520 AD, identifies the Theravada Bhikkhunis entering China, spreading and preserving the Bhikkhuni lineage in China as well as Korea and Vietnam. Now, today we will be joined by three very special guests, virtually of course. The first will be Sister Santusika Bhikkhuni from the Karuna Buddhist Vihara in California. We will also be joined live by Venerable Hyun Bunne Kondanya from the Staten Island Buddhist Vihara in New York. And of course, Sister Bhikkhuni Bodhi from Analaya Bhikkhuni Arame in Thailand. Now, before we begin, we would like to take a moment to show you a short video from the Buddhist Embassy regarding the first official Buddhist road sign. Now, this video will also showcase the beautiful Analaya Bhikkhuni Arame in Thailand. But because the first part of this video will be in Sinhalese, I will give you all a brief introduction of what it will say, but of course in English. So the founder of the Buddhist Embassy, Mr. Visitha Leelaratne, with the support of Mayor Jim Watson, who's the mayor of Canada's capital, created the first official Buddhist temple road sign in the year 2013. And in 2018, this road sign was introduced to all Buddhist temples in the city of Ambalangoda in Sri Lanka, with the support of the mayor of Ambalangoda, Anura Pradeep. You will see a number of these signs in the upcoming video. Now, this is only one small initiative that the founder of the embassy, Mr. Leela Ratna, has personally taken on. These Buddhist temple road signs can be found all over Ambalangada, Sri Lanka. So Visita grew up in this area. He attended the school at Dharma Shoke in the city of Ambalangada, so it holds a very special place in our heart. So today, Visita is a resident of Ottawa, Canada. He's an ambassador to Buddhism, and he's very enthusiastically engaged in volunteer work for bhikkhus and bhikkhunis alike across the world. So now Visita will start the video.
ලෝකේපුරා විසිරී සිටින බෞද්ධ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් පිහිටුවාලු බෞද්ධ විහාරස්ථාන හඳුනා ගැනීම සඳහා වූ ධර්මචක්‍ර සහිත ලාංඡනය මුල්වරට 2012 දී කැනඩාවේ ඔටාවා නගරයේදී ඉදි කරනු ලැබුවා. ඉන් අනතුරුව 2018 වසරේදී අම්බලන්ගොඩ නගරයේ මෙම බෞද්ධ ලාංඡනය ඉදි කරනු ලැබුවා. අද අම්බලන්ගොඩ නගරයේ පුරාම පිහිටි සියලු විහාරස්ථාන හඳුනා ගැනීම සඳහා මෙම ලාංඡනය විදේශීයන් පැමිණෙන ජනතාවට ගොඩක් පහසුවක් කරලා තියෙනවා. මෙම ලාංඡනයේ නිර්මාතෘවරයා මෙම වැඩසටහනේ නිර්මාතෘවරයා අම්බලන්ගොඩ බෝගහවත්තේ ඉපදිලා අම්බලන්ගොඩ ධර්මාශෝක විද්‍යාලයේ අධ්‍යාපනය ලැබලා කැනඩාවේ අද නේවාසික සිටිමින් බෞද්ධ දූත මෙහෙවරක යෙදෙන ඒ වගේම විහාරස්ථාන ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලා පිළිබඳව විශාල වශයෙන් සොයා බලන විසිත සිරිල් ලීලාරත්න සඳහා සහභාගී වන ලෝක බෞද්ධ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් අප මේ මොහොතේ අම්බලන්ගොඩ නගරයේ පිහිටි පුරාණ විහාරස්ථාන කිහිපයක දර්ශන පෙළක් ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නට සූදානම්.
A group of Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis traveled to China in the early 5th century to introduce Bhikkhuni ordination. It is clearly recorded in the Chinese Buddhist transcripts, the biography of nuns. In Upasampada tradition, women were ordained as Bhikkhuni. There is evidence that the Bhikkhuni order continued till this date without any interruption.
Thank you very much, Visita, for sharing that video. So towards the end of that video, you saw some very beautiful images of the Analaya Bhikkhuni Aramaya in Thailand. These bhikkhunis are involved in a tremendous number of goodwill initiatives, ranging from distributing food and other personal necessities to orphanages and old age homes, to teaching information technology to people in low socioeconomic areas, to teaching English in schools, to providing lectures and workshops to teach the Dhamma across time. That was a very beautiful video that we watched. So now we will be moving on to our first speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce the Venerable Sister Santusika Bhikkhuni from California. Now, Venerable Santusika entered monastic life as an Anangarika, 8-precept nun in 2005, and then ordained as a seminary, which is a 10-precept nun in 2010, and then finally a Bhikkhuni, which is 311 rules, in the year 2012, at Dharma Vijaya Buddhist Vihara in Los Angeles. She was trained in large and small communities of nuns, including Amaravati and Chittar's monasteries of the Ajahn Chah tradition in England. So she was born in Illinois in 1954 and grew up on a farm in Indiana. While being a single mother, she received a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science degree in computer science. She worked as a software designer and developer for 15 years in the Bay Area. Her search for deeper meaning and ways to be of service led her to train as an interfaith minister in a 4-year seminary program that culminated in a Master's of Divinity degree. So she began traveling in Asia in 1999, learning from master teachers, particularly in Thailand. It was these experiences, along with time spent at Abhayagiri Buddhist Monastery in California, that caused her faith to develop to the point of choosing to live and practice as a Theravada nun. Now, although Sister Santusika cannot be with us live, she has created a video specifically for this event, and now Visita will play the video.
My name is Santusika Bhikkhuni. I've been asked to say a few words about my life, the benefits of being a bhikkhuni, and some of the challenges that I've experienced. So I live in the redwood forests in Northern California, in the mountains. We live in a small cabin on about 15 acres with a creek running through it. Our electricity comes from a generator. Our water comes from a spring. We heat the cabin with wood. There's one other bhikkhuni sister who lives here with me. And it's a very simple life. We're focused on living according to the Buddha's teachings, the Dhamma and the Vinaya. And our intention and efforts are towards the realization of Nibbana and for helping as many people as we can along the way. So we teach and people visit, and there are more women planning to come to stay with us. And you might wonder why women in the West, in California, would choose this life. We've all had an education. Before I became a bhikkhuni, I worked in IT. I was a software designer and engineer. And my bhikkhuni sister who lives here was a registered nurse. And all of the women who are coming have good educations and good jobs and really good lives by the standards of the world. But we've realized that the world and nothing in it ever leads to real happiness and satisfaction. That comes from living according to the Dhamma. And the Buddha laid out this beautiful life of monastic life for the benefit of practicing. It's the best container, the best support for developing on the path. So this is what we're doing. And it's beautiful. And there are many benefits for us personally and for everyone that we help. As many people recognize, women may prefer to come to a bhikkhuni to talk about what's going on in her life rather than a bhikkhu, and that's certainly true sometimes. But we also have quite a few men who come to us to seek advice and learn the Dhamma. And I think that they benefit in some way from having a bhikkhuni to talk to to support them. When bhikkhunis teach the Dhamma, there's definitely a different flavor to it. People tell us this. They gain something that I think just comes from actually living the life of renunciation and simplicity, as well as being fully immersed in the Buddha's teachings. So it's this message of renunciation and also liberation is something that you don't always hear in some of the more secular teachings that are around. There's a lot of Buddhism in California, and people are trying to use it for all kinds of things in life, but they may miss the opportunity to really understand what the Buddha was about without the renunciation element as part of it. So it's challenging to live in the forest. It's a lot of work. It's challenging to live in community because there's always some effort that needs to go into getting along with each other and living harmoniously. And I'm very happy to say that it's quite been lovely to live together in this way. And those are challenges that are normal, understandable, but that hasn't been the hardest part for me. I think the hardest part has been when being told that I wouldn't be able to become a bhikkhuni, or that 8 precepts are enough. There's no real avenue to be fully admitted to the sangha. And of course, in the last 20 years, that has not been the case. It took finding really good monks who are willing to help. There are monks who teach us on the Uposatha days. They help with ordinations. They make our ordinations possible. There's one monk who traveled the entire distance across the United States recently during the pandemic to help with a bhikkhuni ordination. And these monks are so dedicated, and they're so good in their vinaya. And this is what really brought all of us to this life, is monks who helped us, who taught us, who exemplified really excellent values and lifestyle, living in the forest practice and in the cities as well, and just being an incredible example in the world. So the challenge of breaking through or moving past this idea that women should not be ordained is something that I think is important to look at, in part because when people become interested in Buddhism here in the West, where women are valued for their contributions as leaders in government and in business and in all kinds of sectors of life, when they hear that women aren't allowed to have the full admission to the sangha, people think it's a backward religion. And the reality is it's not at all. The Buddha was so much more forward thinking than any of his contemporaries, and beyond to this day. When women wanted to be ordained, he could have said, okay, 8 precepts are enough, and wear white or pink or something that's not really the Buddhist colors, and that will be fine for you. But he didn't do that. He ordained women as bhikkhunis. And he asked the monks to teach the bhikkhunis the Dhamma, all of it. He didn't hold anything back. And he wanted a place for everyone in his sasana. Whether you want to be a layperson or you want to be a monastic, regardless of gender, there's a place for you in the Buddha's sangha, in the Buddha's assemblies. So it's so wonderful to have the support of these excellent bhikkhus in America and in other parts of the world. And I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, because this is really the most incredible opportunity.
Thank you very much, Visita, for playing that video, and thank you so much, Sister Santisika. Now, although she was not able to join us live, she was very kind to record that video just for us and send it to us so that we could play it today. So we were actually supposed to start with a lecture by Venerable Hin Bunne Kondanyatero, but I think he's running a little bit late, so we're going to move forward, and then we will come back to his lecture later on after he has joined us. So now that we have some bhikkhunis present on our Zoom meeting, we have a few questions that were given to us. And I'm going to ask these questions, and I'm hoping that Bhikkhuni Bodhi can give us her insight on some advice and answer some of these questions that we have received. So the first question that we have is about education and counseling. So the question specifically is, Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhi, what are your suggestions for a training plan to educate the female sangha or bhikkhuni community about counseling? How can we incorporate Buddhist counseling into the lifestyles of the bhikkhuni so that they are well equipped to help the public with various matters in their lives? This is the question.
Well, that's a very, very big question. How do we counsel? The Buddhist teaching is all about, a large part of Buddhist teaching is on sila, samadhi, and panya. So, because sila, samadhi, panya leads to happiness. When we have sila, when our mind is pure, and when we see, we have a good understanding of reality, then we are happy. So in counseling, to be a counselor, we need ourselves to understand and practice sila, samadhi, and panya. In that way, we can, pass on the benefits of the knowledge, the understanding, and benefits of keeping sila. And to be able to do samadhi, of course, then we have to know first that what is a wholesome mind, what is an unwholesome mind. Unwholesome mind definitely brings along suffering. Unwholesome mind brings joy and happiness. So it is teaching people how to recognize wholesome mind, unwholesome mind. And for this, we need to know a little bit about cultivation of the mind. To be a little bit, to gain more happiness, then we learn. All of us have to learn to understand a little bit more about seeing reality as it is. When we see reality as it is, then there isn't that much clinging, craving, the cause of suffering. So when we can get an understanding, a taste of seeing reality for what it is, we are able to drop this craving, this clinging that leads to, rooted in greed, hatred, or delusion. Then we are able to be happy. Whenever we can do that, we are happy. So I think basically counseling should be based on sila, samadhi, panya. Tadu, I do not know if Venerable Vajrayani would like to add, or some of our lay people who are here, would they like to add?
Yeah, if
if
anybody here would
the
like to
question
add
permit.
to the answer, please do so. You're more than welcome to.
When I came into ordination, quite late in life. That's 3 years ago. So I would like to share my experience, in my ordination. I came into ordination just 3 years ago. That is the first time, and it was in a very short time, only 1 month. And then, 2 years later, so I came the second time, and this time just 4 months. Yeah, and I think there is the question that is quite classic question, that why don't you renounce, for the rest of your life like that? And I think the answer is not quite as not so interesting, because the answer, as the lay people who never stay away, from home for a long time like that, So anyway, there was a question that is quite interesting that I was asked while being in the monastic life, and the question was between monastic life and lay person's life, which one is more difficult? And I just promptly answered that, for me, the as a life as a person, as a lay people, is more difficult for sure, because in the monastery you have to follow a lot of regulations, and silas like that. And the senior bhikkhunis, who asked me that question, said, "Oh, then you failed this test." And I just think, oh yes, my answer was quite stupid, because that is the irrational judgment on the life between monastic and lay person's life outside the monastery. Actually, as a lay person, you was pulled, you was drawn, with all the cravings, greed, and tosa, anger, or whatever, and illusion like that. And if you have never practiced, to let go all this, you get into trouble, you get into sufferings. But in the monastery, you have more chance to practice. To practice what? To practice to let go, or drop all the cravings, all the, all the anger, the hatred. So this is just to start to talk about my first experience in ordination. So maybe other people, have a lot more to say, to share the experience as well. So I would like to stop here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nopamat. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Now, is there anybody else here that would like to share their experiences as a Buddhist nun or a bhikkhuni? Yes, bhikkhuni Bodhi.
Yes, I would like to suggest Carl to answer this question because she has experienced.
Good morning.
Can Pascal please?
Good morning. Good evening, right?
Oh, hi. Hello. It seems that Venerable Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni has joined us.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you very much for joining us. We actually we started to talk a little bit about the discussion, and we started to talk about the experiences of the female Buddhist nuns and the bhikkhuni that we have with us on Zoom today. But now I would officially like to introduce Venerable Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Kondanya Thero of Staten Island Buddhist Vihara in New York, which is a renowned meditation teacher and an international lecturer with over 50 years of experience. Now, Bhante Kondanya is a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk. He received his novice ordination in 1968, his monastic training in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and a BA in Buddhist philosophy from the University of Kelaniya, also in Sri Lanka. And in 1985, he came to the USA to participate and also to provide his helpful skills and services at the New York Buddhist Vihara. Now, during that time, Venerable Kondanya began to attend classes at the City University of New York, and he now holds a Bachelor of Science in Social Work. And moreover, in 1997, he obtained a Master's of Social Work from the Fordham University in New York. So Bhante Kondanya believes that human beings should grow up having spiritual foundation. He hopes that his contributions, experiences, and philosophy enrich and enhance the lives of everyone in New York City and across the world. So we welcome you, Bhante Kondanya. The stage is now yours.
What are you expecting this morning? And I believe this discussion is about Bhikkhuni order.
Yes, that is correct. Our discussion
Right.
today is about Bhikkhuni ordination.
Yes, it's I think very nice, important discussion right now. So if we go back to the time of the Buddha, we know that Venerable Gautami, so what the ordination for her was that giving the Gautami Sutta, if you look at it, so Buddha was teaching, Gautami may definitely hold, this is the Dhamma, this is the Vinaya, this is the teacher's instruction. Ekang sena Gautami dhareyasi, eso Dhammo, eso Vinayo, eso Sattva Sasananti. What was that? So thinking, reflecting on what could have, this is right, this is agreeable with this, the teaching. So there's nothing, no ceremony, but that was her ordination as she was giving it. From that, 500 Sakya Dihita Sakya princess ordained, and for that Bhikkhuni order was introduced to Sri Lanka in 3rd century BC, and that's also Queen Anula and the according to history 500 women, it says. So from that time to the 3rd century BC to 11th century, it was prospered in Sri Lanka. So Bhikkhuni order was there, everybody was active, they were working, they became enlightened Bhikkhunis, and but somehow due to foreign invasion of the country, so we lost it in Sri Lanka. Bhikkhuni order was lost. However, it seems that according to Chinese history, I was so glad now there are some researches done by some of the monks and nuns of Sri Lanka. I saw some recently, the Venerable monk has done a research according to that, his work. We find out that there's no much ancient historical write-ups in even in China, but according to the one that they have, what we call that Picheng Ni Ching, biographies of Bhikkhunis in between 335 and 342 AD. That means 4th century after Christ. According to them, their Buddhism seems to have been there. Buddhist monks were there because from India and like, travelers, they somehow through the Silk Road, they had the teachings. So yet we see the first, according to that historical note, what we call as Ta Sung Sang Shi law, that was written in Sung Dynasty. And there was, according to that, first Bhikkhuni is Apan. But no other records regarding this. And but somehow Bhikkhuni order has completed during the, not in the 3rd century, but in the 4th century, in 4th century AD in China. That's where our Bhikkhuni, who is Devasara, even Devasara goes second batch of the nuns. We know that there's according to record, there's Nandi is the captain or the person who took those Bhikkhunis to China. And so according to the first record, it seems like she was not higher ordained individual, but she is just a samaneri. But at least that was something happy, that you can be happy of learning. There could be more researches to be done and find out more information. But so far what they have is in Apan as Bhikkhuni in old history. But later on, there's another individual called Ching Chiang, first Bhikkhuni. And I believe all of you know this, you have studied these things, yet I like to, recall your memory on that. And group of monks, I believe it's from Kashmir area, Venerable Jnanagiri went to China, and they ordained, according to that historical story, and 24 women. They observed 10 precepts. As samaneris, they had ordained. And but according to these historical notes, by this time they had Bhikkhuni Patimokha and Mahasangika Vinaya book has been, by that time that it has been translated in Chinese. And around in 4th century, middle of 4th century, Venerable Dhammagupta, who was named in Chinese as Tangmo Jieduo, comes to Luoyang city of China. and he led a higher ordination ceremony there. But what happened was there was opposition to that. They did not agree with that ceremony. Why? There was a monk who knew this story. Translation has read, and he had the understanding that's Tao Chang. Tao Chang was opposed to this ceremony because it was on one-sided. It's not dual ordination. Only the bhikkhus were there, no bhikkhunis. So that was the reason for the opposition. And so therefore, we know that now if that kind of opposition came to exist, that means they knew about how it should be done. The understanding was there. And when this was happening, they got the message from Sri Lanka in, I believe that was 429 AD. Group of bhikkhunis go from Sri Lanka. That 8 of them, and they were welcomed, and they were at the same person. Nandi was the person who took them, and they were received by Senko. Meets them, and Senko requested her master, according that she had a Dharma teacher. He was Gunavarman, who went from India. And she was desiring to, because of that opposition and things were there and kind of, not, even though this title is not important, but, they may have desire to have this ordination kind of accepted, kind of that, level of what they call as, so for example, right now, what we have Sila Mata or Mechi, and then come to the second level called Bhikkhuni. They may also like to have that, what he had already had before. And so Senko wanted to, get high ordination, and she was one educated one at that time. She was very interested, and she wanted to do something for the sasana. I don't think that she was doing this for her boost her ego. However, in any kind of community, society, there could be that kind of arguments always, and some hurtful feelings, certain situations, and therefore she was desired to get something for the benefit of all the individuals, ladies who were interested to become nuns. And for that reason, she spoke to her master Gunavarman. And then when he inquired, but 8 bhikkhunis is not enough. If we want to do that, this should be something, noticeable. Therefore, what he asked, wanted more bhikkhunis. So the Nandi went back. So those 8, and also the 8 bhikkhunis who came from Sri Lanka, they did not have Chinese language facility. They were not educated in Chinese. So therefore, now they were kind of giving more time, buying more time. And these 8 bhikkhunis who were there, they were getting, to learn about the culture as well as the language. Of course, they need communication skills. And in the meantime, Nandi goes back and he brings another 11 bhikkhunis from Sri Lanka at that time. And they brought another 11 bhikkhunis, and they came in 433 to China again. And with that, now they were ready to do that high ordination, which they were requesting. And of course, even before this incident, the other one also was a kind of ceremony done in the what we call as in the Sima, built on a boat on the river. That's a very interesting one. Then in Sri Lanka, we still have that what we call as Udakukke cinema, not cinema, Sima. Having that experience, so having the prior opposition, and they really were interested. Now more bhikkhunis were there, to ladies who had been practicing, who had been samaneris and who had been sikkamanas. They were ready to get their ordination. Altogether, according to historical notes, there were about 300 of them. So by this time, Senko's teacher, master, Gunavarman has passed away. And there's another teacher, second master was Sanghavarman. With his presidentship, they had this ceremony, and they had a dual ceremony, Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni ordination. With that, they established the Bhikkhuni order in Sri Lanka. And of course, by this time, they knew the Dharmagupta Vinaya and Mahasangika Vinaya and I believe Theravada Vinaya. They all came to know about this. With having this understanding, so they established the Bhikkhuni order in China. This is what we have now. The roots are connected. So this Bhikkhuni order is still existing. So I think for you, in Theravada tradition, so if they received this with that, if that was how they received this ordination, established this ordination in the first place, I believe you have more opportunity to receive it back from them and practice them. And if I think that you are not looking for the boost your ego, but social hierarchy, everybody needs acceptance. So for that reason, it could be nice, and you could be working together, and you could be having more strength in your mental strength. And of course, we don't need any of these things if you are looking for your enlightening yourself. But right now, having bhikkhunis, there are a lot of things that you can do. Not only enlightening yourself, but you have opportunity to do more services at this time in the society. They need help, and you are, learning, educating yourself in the Dhamma, Chinese, Mahayana tradition, Theravada tradition, the Tibetan tradition. All the opportunities are there. It's the right time for bhikkhunis to come back and to take the responsibilities and to preserve the Dhamma in the world for the benefit of future people, future communities. And especially when you look at this time, COVID is destroying. It is not looking at hierarchies. The king, the queen, the president, the prime ministers, everybody's getting, becoming victims of it. And I think Why is that? For me, when I look at it, for me, I see it as we are spiritually very declined. No, spirituality is growing. So human minds are all corrupted. So therefore, we have to, arouse this need of spirituality. If we could do that, that's a great blessing for the world. So, Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni, all of you should come together and show this value of this spirituality and bring it and share it with the world. This is what we all can do. And therefore, shortage of bhikkhus, no more, interested in becoming, because of this liberal economic system has ruined the whole spirituality. And among bhikkhus, there are not many monks, not many young men who want to become. But my argument was that always I was, talking to the venerable monks, responsible monks in Sri Lanka. I had reminded them, why not we do this? There are so many ladies who are willing to get ordination, and it's time for them to, take the banner. And so what we should be supporting them, and we should be, giving the ordination, but good training. Important thing is good training. We must be good teachers to them and find real training is given, then they can work on it. There's no, for my understanding is, so there's real need of this, and to preserve the teachings for the well-being and for the happiness of many. That's how we started this. In the Buddha's very first instruction was that you should go teach the Dhamma for the happiness of many, for the well-being of many. Atta hitaya sukhaya deva manussana. This was the guidelines he gave the first group of monks. Bahujana hitaya, bahujana sukhaya, attaya hitaya deva manussana. So that is still valid. So we should be all working towards that goal. So where can we do that if we do not have qualified people, qualified practitioners to bring this teaching into the world community? Not by force, but if we are qualified, there could be people who want to receive it. So therefore, bhikkhunis, samaneris, sikkamanas, to all of you, it is time for all of you to go through the good training and learning the Dhamma and qualifying and sharing it with the others for the happiness of many. So I think that's my sharing for this morning. I hope you will, but we all have to more, if we like to do more and more research, and if we want to establish, for we already see that, truth connections are already established, and we can continue from there, and without, there are of course always there could be arguments. It's all right, but we have to have patience, compassion towards everybody. Those are the duty of the practitioners. As practitioners, we all can have that. While we are practicing, we are doing this thing, establishing, the right Bhikkhuni order and carry it. It's not with fighting. It is with patience and compassion, with educating ourselves well. Not that is how you can prove it. That is, we can do this. There's nothing impossible. Everything is possible, but slowly, patiently, compassionately, understanding, learning, educating ourselves well. That is the way to do this.
Thank you very much, Venerable Queen Bunde. So thank you very much for the brief history that you provided us. And actually, before you arrived, well, we were talking a little bit about the Bhikkhuni experience. Bhikkhuni Bodhi was speaking, and I also wanted to give a chance to Pascal so that she may share her experiences with about Buddhist counsel with the rest of the group. Pascal, the stage is yours.
Thank
Sadhu.
So I have a very light experience in retreat, but I came, I think, for 2 or 3 times in Analaya Bhikkhuni Arama, and I just be there and try to understand what is a simple life and try to experiment this, and also try to learn with the bhikkhunis. And when I came back in my lay life, because I'm a lay people, I try to think about what can I do in my life to be a simple woman. And so that every day I try to ask me, why are you doing that? Are you sure is it very important for you? Are you sure it's important for the other people? And I try to make comparison with the life I try to experiment in Nalala Bhikkhuni Arama, and I try every time to do my best to just have a simple life. So this experience is very important for me, and it's very hard to be simple. It's very, very hard. So thank you for the people who show us the way. I think I finish with what can I feedback to you.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you very much, Pascal. So we also have another question. Oh, I think Bhikkhuni Bodhi, did you want to say something? I saw you raised your hand.
Yes, yes.
So,
I would just like Pascal to highlight her her experience because she is working in counseling. So I would like her to highlight her experience in using Buddhist teachings in counseling the women that she is working with. Pascal, could you please tell us your experience in use? I think she wrote a paper on counseling using Buddhist teachings. Pascal, please.
Yes, I try to do that, but yes, I'm a social worker, and I work with women who are working in the street, so very vulnerable women, and I try to experiment with this woman how meditation or consciousness could help them to be better, to have a better life, perhaps. And I try to have this experimentation for now many years, and I have good feedback from the person, because their life are very difficult, very, very difficult. And when we just stop with the woman, just to inhale, exhale, just to have time to think about what they are doing, then I think it's better for them. And they said that it's better for them to continue in their life, because they have to continue the way they are. I'd like to say more things, but my English is not so good, so it's more difficult for me to say what I want to say.
I think your English is great. I mean, it's been great so far, and I've understood everything. So if you wish to share more, you are more than welcome to. You're welcome.
No, it's okay for me. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much, Pascal, for sharing your insight and your experience with Buddhist counseling. So we actually have another question for this one for Bhikkhuni Bodhi specifically. So in the Western world, sometimes people look down on the lay people going towards religious means to get therapy or counseling. People say that only a qualified doctor should be able to give counseling and therapy. But we know that a lot of Buddhist people like to go to go take the Buddhist route and get therapy or counseling instead of going to a doctor. So what do you say to the people, who are looking down on this path and saying, no, you should only go to a qualified professional and only they are able to give counseling or therapy for you? What are your thoughts on this?
Would you like to say something? I have not experienced any people who come to tell us that they are being looked down on for coming to monastery to seek answer to their solutions. In actual fact, a lot of people, in our experience here anyway, when people come to the monastery, when they have problems, actually their family and the people around are very supportive of them, of coming to monastery to seek solutions in their life, because they see that practicing in the monastery, serving in the monastery is a meritorious deed. And people actually are very supportive of learning, studying, and being counseled in monastery, in my experience here anyway. So there is no looking down upon people who come to seek Buddhist teachings and using those teachings in their life to solve their problems in their life. Actually, is very, very well regarded here. So every now and again, we would get some people who have problems in their life. Like, for instance, most recently, we had a woman who had been having a drinking problem for many years. Since she was 13, I think she was drinking, and when she came here to the monastery to decide to spend a vasa here, to contemplate, to improve on her life, and her family was very supportive of that, and our monastery is also very supportive of that. And of course, she experienced a little bit of difficulty, some difficulty in adjusting to ascetic life conditions in the monastery. And she was a little bit troubled from not drinking, not smoking, for so long. And of course, that had some side effects on her, and those side effects also affected the people around her. But that was, but she was encouraged to persevere, and she was actually contemplating giving up, and then but she was encouraged to persevere and stay through the rains retreat of 3 months, and she did. And the final month, she was so happy, and her family was so happy. And when she eventually completed her 3 months of rains retreat here, she was a changed person. And the family is very, very supportive of her. And during her stay here with us, her friends and the family constantly supported her in various ways, in various good ways, encouraged her in various ways.
Thank you for sharing that experience, Bhikkhuni Bodhi. So I'm very happy to hear that she has the support of her family and friends. I think sometimes the lack of support comes from like society as a whole, and from people who are not religious and people who are not Buddhist. But I'm very happy to hear that in your experiences, the people who do come to you for counseling are very much supported by their family and friends. So the next question that we have that has been asked is question number. The question is regarding opposition to the Bhikkhuni community. So the question says, in some places, there's opposition to the full ordination of a Bhikkhuni. How can we go about removing this bias and encourage government officials to take into consideration the full ordination of a Bhikkhuni without any bias in countries that do not allow this full Bhikkhuni ordination? That is the question.
It's not so good. Okay. Now the Bhante is here.
So I believe my thoughts about it is not very patiently working, that proving that you are skillful. If the bhikkhunis ordination, and if they are not allowed, so as let's say about there, at least there are some support there. Some, maybe if the monks are the one who is against it, there is not all the monks are not against it. There are some monks who are supporting. For example, in Sri Lanka, we know there are supportive monks and they want to train. What we believe is that we want these ladies to be trained well. If they can ruin it, if their behavior is not right, being just putting a robe, if they do unnecessary things, but they really have to be, to prove it, you have to be walking on the path, exact path according to Vinaya, Dhamma and Vinaya, and then we should not be fighting with anybody. If they really do that, and their service can be proved. There are many services needed. There are many women who need help. So if they do this as a social work, like counseling, and once people see that that's coming from the people, that we need them, I believe this is the way for us to get rid of all these barriers what we have. Maybe for a certain amount of time that maybe keep going, but that will be diminished slowly from those people who have these difficulties. It's not something to do with government. This is to do with the society, social acceptance. So so your presence is important. When you prove that, when you work towards that goal, that would be easy and that would happen automatically. So we have to give time for it. So that's how I see it.
Thank you very much for your response. Thank you. Does anybody else want to add to this question? Bhikkhuni Bodhi, maybe?
We have been quite lucky in the sense that we have very good support from the villages around us, wherever, whether we were in Chiang Mai or where we are now, that is in Chiang Rai. So we haven't had problems with any in this area with regards to Bhikkhuni issue. Actually, we are quite well supported and quite well accepted. In fact, during the give you an example, during the COVID period when there was lockdown, so we were not able to go Pindapat. The villagers actually came and just dropped the foods in our monastery. And when the lockdown ended and we returned to Pindapat, the villagers were so happy to see us back, you know. So we were lucky. We are lucky. We haven't experienced any problems with in this area, I think, that you are talking about. The villagers are just very happy that they see us every morning. In fact, if we miss 1 or 2 mornings, they would be, you know, asking the village leader what happened to the bhikkhunis. So we are very fortunate so far. So we have not been facing any problems yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bhikkhuni Bodhi. And I'm very happy to hear that, you know, that you have a lot of support from your community. I do know that in some countries, especially in Sri Lanka, that this is not the case. So, you know, we hope that someday every country in the world will be accepting bhikkhunis sort of at an equal level, and that everyone, you know, will be recognized for the great work that they do. But thank you for sharing with us, and I'm very happy to hear that. So the other question that we have here, and Bhikkhuni Bodhi, I think you said that for you this might not be a concern, but in various communities, safety for the Bhikkhuni community is a concern. So the question is, safety for bhikkhunis can be a concern in certain places. What are your thoughts on how we can educate the public about the various safety concerns that bhikkhunis face in certain countries? And how can we encourage more compassion towards the bhikkhuni community so that they may feel safer? Would anyone like to answer this question?
I believe that's safe. Normally, there's a certain way of establishing the temple, and according to Buddha's teaching, they should not be far away from bhikkhus. You know, if you really look at the Chinese temples, in Chinese temples, they have one side, if you know, in the vicinity, there's a bhikkhu, you know, section in the temple, and the bhikkhunis on the other side. Of course, they also have bhikkhuni centers, you know, large number of bhikkhunis are, you know, like monastic. Totally, that's only the bhikkhunis. And there are two systems, but mostly I believe they should be around where not far away from the monks. So at least they have support nearby them. And they are not in isolated. I don't think there's any kind of animosities are coming, but, you know, of course, if they don't know the Dhamma, people could be doing some, you know, things, harmful things. No particular the threats. I don't see any of those things there. I don't know why that question is asked. It should be based on certain experiences. Of course, those things are in every country. You know, all citizens should be protected by the law of the country, and therefore, what could be other things? Maybe because of, you know, poverty, there could be people, you know, vandalizing things. If that is a situation, definitely they should have arranged certain things with the local authorities, informing them and getting their support, I believe. I don't think that monks go and do anything, any harmful thing for them. So they all should be mutually with, you know, understanding discussions. They should be keep going their day-to-day life. So therefore, it's very important for bhikkhunis to develop the, you know, communication with you know, sangha, you know, monks in the area wherever they are, because they know that they should be using their, you know, supportive sangha members for the ideas, for the, you know, communication. They should be communicating each other, and their support is tremendously. There is support. Only thing is that they should be, you know, communicating discussing with those who are the supportive members. I know there used to be one of the Mahanayaka Theras. They were kind of supportive to them. They understood the situation, but there's acceptance should be coming slowly. At once, one person individual, as you cannot make it an individual. I can take my individual support, but as a community I cannot bring everybody together. But slowly I may have to work around it, and as unanimous to bring everybody's mind together, we may have to work for a longer time.
Thank you very much, Venerable King Boni. So I think we are doing very well for time. So if anyone that is with us online on Zoom would like to share their personal experience as a bhikkhuni or a Buddhist nun, or any experience that they have with counseling, you are very welcome to speak up and share that with the rest of us. Would anyone like to share their experiences with counseling, anything?
Ushija?
Yes, hi.
Hi, I'd like to just say a little bit.
Yes, of course, go ahead.
Yeah. So in Ontario, Canada, so the job of psychotherapist is regulated by the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario. And you don't need a doctorate degree, but you do need a master's degree. And so recently in Ontario, in a Christian seminary, we have a Buddhist track training to get the called Master Pastoral Studies degree, and where Buddhists can be trained in psychotherapy and counseling. And so this is since 2015, and by now we have a pretty good Buddhist student body in the program. And so I myself started a Buddhist counseling service the end of last year, and then we went online during COVID. So we have people that are practicing Buddhist, so far lay Buddhists, but they're dedicated Buddhists, serving as Buddhist counselors. So this is a bit like a new experiment in a way, because like mindfulness has been very well received in the medical community. So we're trying to integrate the sort of secular mindfulness into more a Buddhist setting and more comprehensively using Buddhist teachings in counseling and psychotherapy. And so I thought I'd just share that with the group here.
Thank you very much, Chris. That is wonderful. I'm very glad that you shared that with us.
Okay, let me share some experience that I have just for a second.
Of course, go ahead.
There are some, they don't know who we are. When they see our attires, they may be scared. Before, let me see when. Before 9/11, in New York, it was so different. They used to scream at us, yell at us sometimes on the subways and on the street if they see us. Some youngsters have fun screaming, but once we get used to the streets, we know that we are part of this city. So, but they don't. They are who see us for the first time. Maybe they are reacting to in very different ways, but it was not hurting us. Very early days it was, but later on, once you get used to it, we didn't care about it. But after 9/11, that changed. Whole situation changed. There are 3 incidents which took place in New York. One is the 9/11. Second experience was that Asian tsunami. And the third one was there was a blackout in 1998. I cannot remember the year. That 3 shocks changed people's mentality, their attitudes. And then they questioned themselves, this is the life? What is the meaning of this life? It's very fragile. It is not what we were thinking. Then they start searching for answers for this. Then they went to monasteries and more meditation. They wanted to speak to monks. And we appeared also, there are many local TV stations. They wanted to invite us. When somebody invited, then another person come and invite us. So so many opportunities to be on the air by sharing our thoughts and our experiences. And with that kind of opening came. And also we had TV programs here in local TV, in a cable TV system, and Dhamma talks, and we explained about meditation, importance of meditation, so on. And that helped. And also as when I was training, I was trained at the psychiatric center my internship was done. And those people mentally, group of women, what do you call that? Group work. So I was assigned to work with this, group of, many were women, couple of men were there. They came to me, they loved with, practicing meditation. They, even when I was, my time was over at that center, they still wanted to continue. So they assigned one group leader and they wanted to continue. They was writing down all the steps to meditate. And, I neutrally, not really in a Buddhist, I totally did not do the, Buddhist way of things. But of course it was Buddhist meditation. I was, guiding. I was telling them, explaining to them, this is how it was done. Very simple, but you are focusing on your breath is your breath. It's not Buddhist breath. So I think they were very comfortable with me. And there were many young men who were coming after me. Maybe they felt something comfortable to talk to me, and knowing that I was a Buddhist monk. They thought maybe they were revealed things more than to their social worker to me. But, I was bounded by that, privacy story. However, I saw that then some attraction was there. They were willing to talk and they were willing to listen. And also, I think that maybe the reason that we were voluntarily doing our service. So they appreciated it. They were wanting to learn more and practice more. I also did work with the, one of the jails long time ago, actually. It's already closed. Now I don't have opportunity to go and work with them again. They moved to different places. And also, if you have opportunity to do that, in the jail system, also a nice place to, share this Dhamma, share this, meditation with those people. They benefit from it. I think that brings more solace to them as they are in that kind of situation. So my experiences are very positive from that, from the community, beyond our Buddhist communities. So I like to share with that to you all, and maybe you may experience similar situations too, because we are not, teaching religion wise. We really, Buddha's teaching is to open their minds and, healthy mind, maintain, build up your healthy mind. That's no other than Buddhism is always talking about. Buddhas, especially Buddhas, Buddhist psychology, if you look at it, it's really helping people to open their mind and practice it, strengthen that, to bring wellness, stay healthy, all these emotions, if you can manage your emotions, of course, realizing it. That's Buddhism really helped to do that. And so therefore, once they come to know it, they are practicing many different ways. Of course, even Americans, there are many psychologists, they come here, they come and practice with us, then after that they go and practice with their clients. So it's very beneficial. If once they come to know it, they're maybe willing to learn more Buddhism.
Thank you very much, Venerable Hingunmen. Thank you. So it is 8:42 a.m. and we will be concluding our event at 8:45. So I want to sincerely take the time to thank everyone who joined us, especially the organizer of the event, and the founder of the Buddhist Embassy, Mr. Visita Leelaratne. I would also like to thank Sister Santusika Bhikkhuni from the Karna Buddhist Vihara in California. And of course, Venerable Heen Bunne Kondanya from the Staten Island Buddhist Vihara in New York. And also, of course, the Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhi, the Analaya Bhikkhuni Aram in Thailand. Thank you very much. So this event was truly an international event. We had people from all over the world join us today. So we are very thankful for your support and for you being here. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And of course, before we end the event, I would like to say, may the blessings of the Triple Gem be with all of you. And now to conclude the event, Visita will play the theme song from the Buddhist Embassy. Go ahead, Visita.
Thank you very much for Most Venerable Heen Bunde Kondanja Nayakatera from New York, and also the Bhikkhuni Bodhi from Analaya Aramaya, Thailand, with Bhikkhuni Vajrayani from the Analaya Bhikkhuni Aramaya, and other people who participate from coast to coast for this international ceremony. So with traditionally, we will ask Bhante Kondanya to do the final blessings, and I invite Bhikkhuni Bodhi and others to join, and after that I will play the theme song and end. I give you a big thank you for Usija doing being our host today. So now Bhante Heen Bunne Kondanja Thera and Bhikkhuni Bodhi and others are going to do the final blessing. Thank you. Avasarai Swamin Wahanse.
Bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada swasti bhavam chute. Bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada swasti bhavam chute. Bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sutti bhavantu te. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddapachāino chattaro dhamma vaddanti Ayuvanno sukhang balam ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha atho nibbana sampatti iminate samijjhatu. May you all well, happy, peaceful.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sakal satmag sit niveva mit sisil seva seva sasal busit nisal veva satut sahanaya pireva sakal satmag sit niveva mit sisil seva seva sasal busit nisal veva satut sahanaya pireva. සතර දෙසලොව වසන අප සැම එකම සෙවනක අයිතිකරුවෝ වසර දසදහසකට පෙර සිට මෙලොව හැඩ කෙරුවෝ සකල සත්වක සිත් නිවේවා මෙත් සිසිල් වැසි වසේවා සසල වූ සිත් නිසල වේවා සතුට සහනය පිරේවා පවර මනුතහමට සිතැත්තෝ දසත සුරකින සවිය ඇත්තෝ පැනෙන උවදුරු බලය සිඳ බිඳ දියත ජයගත්තෝ සකල සත්වක සිත් නිවේවා මෙත් සිසිල් වැසි වසේවා සසල වූ සිත් නිසල වේවා සතුට සහනය පිරේවා සතුට සහනය පිරේවා සතුට සහනය පිරේවා සතුට සහනය පිරේවා